We open this newscast with this very tragic news from Kumba, where unknown men armed with guns and machetes entered the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy in Fiango, Kumba this morning and murdered several kids attending classes, and many others were wounded and are in the hospitals begging to leave. This heartbreaking news is coming at a time when many were already praising the back to school in the northwest and in the southwest regions. Let's get over to the southwest region, precisely to Meme, where we'll hear from the SDO of Meme, Chamberlain Tuo Ndong. He was speaking to us on phone and explaining exactly what happened. Let's take a listen.
Yes, we have been seriously affected this morning, where some Amba fighters went in Fiango, in a private school, and attacked innocent student. 4 have been killed while waiting for the next step, but others seriously wounded. Let me seize this opportunity not only to condemn what has happened, but to tell them that we are going to do our best to shut them down and let them run. We are behind them. During the day, Bamba boys are attacking innocent children. The surrounding population are there witnessing without doing anything. That's why I've instructed them. That all of them also should be arrested. All the surrounding population who did not support the affected children. All the schools operating in Kumba should declare the activities, because if the forces of law and order are not aware that some schools are operating within Meme, it will be difficult for them to secure all those schools. It's what I gave like instruction, but it look like some schools continue to hide themselves, and even all those ones are going to be shut down.
Meantime, Prime Minister, Head of Government Joseph Dion Gute has dispatched an interministerial delegation to Kumba to present the condolences of the Head of State and comfort to the education community in the town following the gruesome massacre of school children which occurred today. He took the decision after a crisis meeting to address and examine the incident and review security in the area. Star Building correspondent Christian Che Atam reports.
A gloomy atmosphere at the Star Building Saturday. Visibly downcast, Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute announced that he had been informed about the cold-blooded killing of school children in Kumba. The PM said the mode of operation of the killings suggests that the act is most probably the handiwork of armed gangs known to operate in the area. He said by shamelessly attacking unarmed children, the assailants probably want to strike fear in the hearts of parents and break the impetus of school resumption observed this year in the northwest and southwest regions. Joseph Dion Gute said government will spare no effort in ensuring that the school year continues successfully. The crisis meeting was aimed at deciding strategies. First, to comfort the parents of children killed during the attack. Then, identify ways of enforcing security to make sure that children receive adequate protection while schooling. After the meeting, Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute instructed the Minister of Territorial Administration to lead an interministerial delegation to Kumba to present the condolences of the head of state, comfort the bereaved families, and reassure the education community that government will put in place security measures to ensure that the school year continues smoothly. He has also instructed the Minister of Defense to investigate the circumstances of the attack and bring the perpetrators to book. Joseph Dion Gute finally invited the Minister of Communication to organize a press conference to throw light on the event and explain the measures taken by government.
And that press conference by the Minister of Communication should be going on now. And we'll definitely be getting feedback from our reporter right there, Gilbert Ongene. But in the meantime, the Kumba incident is one that attracts indignation and condemnation from any right-thinking person. The display of cowardice and brutality has left many families and members of the education family in total shock. Gilbert Ongene in the following write-up argues that nothing can justify such an act against children who are simply enjoying their right to education. His report.
The children have been barred from attending school for 4 good years. Fear and intimidation could not let them be. Today, when a glimmer of hope seems to be perceptible 2 weeks after resumption, disaster strikes again, opening fire on innocent school children from obvious close range, as the horrendous picture suggests, is horrifying. And for sure, their only crime is the attempt and earnest desire to catch up with years spent hiding or running away from an enemy in the ambush, whose modus operandi has been kidnapping, looting, destruction, and arbitrary killing of innocent children and civilians, having nothing to do with the ongoing socio-political unrest. The incident at the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy in Fiango-Kumba comes to once more question the real intentions of the so-called freedom fighters, who are now the oppressors of their people.
And Gilbert Ongene did a report before going to the Ministry of Communication, where he should be coming in to tell us just what was included in the press conference by the Minister of Communication. So far, we're getting a lot of criticism coming in from non-governmental organizations and from persons of goodwill who are standing with the president, who are standing with the government of Cameroon and the military in fighting against such acts. Well, let's stay in the Southwest region, where parents and guardians in the Moyoka subdivision of the Southwest region have been challenged to send their children to school with a promise that security in the locality will be beefed up in the days ahead. Let's hope so. The call was made Friday by the Senior Divisional Officer for FACO, Emmanuel Ledoux Ngamba, during a working session with educational and traditional authorities. Ethel Edimo Lifita reports.
The working session that brought together administrative, education, religious and traditional authorities of the Moyoka subdivision aimed at fine-tuning strategies for lasting solutions to enable schools reopen. During the deliberations, the Senior Divisional Officer for FACO gave the elite present the opportunity to freely say what they think is hampering the smooth running of schools in the area.
I'm happy because my cry is security in this town. We don't have two things. If there's security, the school will begin every next week.
At the end of the deliberations, the SDO reassured the population that all necessary security dispositions have been taken to ensure the safety of learners, teachers, and other education authorities, as well as business operators in the area, especially those dealing in the cocoa and palm oil sectors.
Students and pupils in Zwa, Wei and Bafmeng in Menchum Division, this time in the Northwest region, have received financial and material support to see them through the academic year. The Member of Parliament for Menchum North, Kum John, who has been on the tour of the schools in the division, says the gesture is part of efforts made by elected officials in Menchum to push for effective teaching and learning in the area. Mercy Kusi tells us more.
Picture of Menchum Division has been marked with school boycott for the past 4 years. This new academic year has come with signs of effective school takeoff. These didactic materials, donated by the Member of Parliament for Menchum South, Honorable Walang Richard, will sustain the Back to School initiative. Administrative officials in the division say the gesture will encourage regular school attendance in the area.
We are happy to receive all these didactic materials for the Member of Parliament. All the students, both primary and secondary, will be encouraged to continue to go to school every day from Monday to Friday. The
didactic materials, worth some 5 million francs CFA, will see all public, private and religious establishments in Menchum South constituency benefiting.
Over in the North region, special awards have been given to some outstanding female students of Government Bilingual High School Lam in the North region, as we said. The gesture by Dr. Amam Adija, an elite of the localities, to encourage parents send their girls to school. Our North regional correspondent Wilson Mengole reports.
In a region where the education of the girl child was relegated to the background, nowadays, more and more girls in the North region are going to school. Dr. Amani Ajija, an elite of Lam, a locality in the North region, came with didactic material to assist girls who've been outstanding academically.
I benefited myself when I was in high school of many scholarships like that from people I don't know where they came from, but from their talk, what they told us, they inspired me to go further despite the challenges.
A humanitarian act which, according to school officials, is a massive booster to the students who couldn't afford such items.
Many girls were awarded prizes. These different prizes that were awarded to our girls in school will help them. They will get exposed to the English language because here in our school, they always attempted to speak the different mother tongue.
While taking rounds to address the students, the divisional officer of Figil, Ada Suratu Sureya, flanked by other elites of Lam, hammered on the necessity for parents to send girls to school.
Today, October 24, is World Polio Day, and it presents an opportunity to highlight global efforts towards a polio-free world. This year, the polio program has marked inspiring and important milestones as the African region was declared wild polio virus-free in August. In line with this, our reporter Alice Bay spoke to some medics to find out the criteria of declaring a country free of the wild polio virus.
Strides made to eradicate polio in Cameroon. The Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, made it public in a tweet on the 18th of June 2020. The National President for Polio Certification Commission in Cameroon says several criteria were enforced by the World Health Organization to declare Cameroon polio-free.
The vaccination coverage has reached 80% as minimum all over the country. We have shown our capacity to be able to detect any paralysis due to polio.
The government is taking necessary steps to maintain this statute.
To continue to vaccinate all the kids within 0 and 5 years of age is absolutely sure that what is the best guarantee to avoid polio in our country is the immunity of all the kids in our country.
The decision was taken during the 25th annual convention of the certification of poliomyelitis eradication in Yaoundé.
The Douala International Airport has acquired new equipment for luggage and passenger management. The Minister of Transport, Jean-Enes Massenangale Bibe, was in Douala this afternoon to see the equipment and encourage the airport's management authority in the ongoing program to improve their service. Kishi Lawrence reports.
The 43-year Douala International Airport was hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. The long break came at a time when the officials were working on renovating the airport and improving their services. The Minister of Transport came to see these buses, loaders and luggage tractors being part of a 4 billion francs budget for up-to-date equipment at Cameroon's airports.
We are very, very proud of it, and it's the first time for us to receive such equipment. We are very, very happy for what we saw this morning.
The staff have also received enough training to manage the new equipment, and they have the needed spare parts. The challenge is to be able to offer quality services to the big number of passengers who shall be streaming in for international football competitions to come. Contracts shall also be signed with expert companies to continue partnership in training and repairs. Better days ahead, therefore, for our airports.
And a word in culture now. Cameroonian musicians are currently amending the status and text governing the Cameroon National Musical Arts Corporation, known by its French acronym as SONACAM. The General Assembly, which is on the way at the Yaoundé Conference Center, is termed inclusive with the objective of putting all factions on board. One of the goals is to revitalize the artist's copyright body with everyone and for everyone. While chairing the opening session of the assembly, the Minister of Arts and Culture, Ismail Bidungpat, urged the musicians to work towards achieving a strong and more inclusive SONACAM that will meet their aspirations. Some police staff of the Delegation for National Security have been equipped with up-to-date tactics on security and personnel management. This was during a workshop to evaluate the first phase of the capacity building project between the police and the German International Cooperation, GIZ. Beatrice Ngum completes that story.
Capacities of the police staff were improved upon in the areas of border security, criminal investigation, forensics, and human resource management. The training is part of the African program of the GIZ that seeks to strengthen national police structures in Cameroon and in 8 other African countries. The evaluation of this first phase of the training that started in 2016 through 2019 revealed that there is need to improve and perfect the results of the first phase during the second one. Some material donation was made to the police, with the Littoral Regional Division of the police receiving a car, while the Northwest Regional Division of the Judicial Police and the Mutengene Police Training Center received equipment. The representative of the Delegate General for National Security, Police Commissioner Dominique Mbaya, lauded the initiative and said the training and material will help the Cameroon police, which is facing new security challenges, better respond to them.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Let's talk about our fight against the coronavirus pandemic. And in a tour of the different regions, we take you to the south region of the country this Saturday for the latest updates on how health professionals in that part of the country are working to eradicate the coronavirus. Baldwin Sama is at the Public Health Emergency Center with his guest, Dr. Maurice Mangaze of the South Regional Delegation of Public Health with update. Good evening to you, Baldwin. Hello.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagada. It's the third round. We are taking our viewers over to the south region of the country to get a pulse as far as the situation of the coronavirus in that part of the country is concerned. And tonight, our guest is Dr. Maurice Mangaze, who is the head of the Brigade for the Control of Health Activities at the South Regional Delegation of Public Health. Dr. Maurice Mangaze, good evening.
Good evening.
Explain to us what strategies have you put in place in the South region to try as much as possible to be able to fight against the spread of the coronavirus in the South?
We have 3 strategies in our region. The first strategy is that we intensify case finding in the community using rapid diagnostic tests. So we have rapid diagnostic tests which permit us to do massive testing, that is intensifying case finding. The second strategy is the surveillance. We reinforce surveillance at the level of the community. We also reinforce this surveillance at borders. You know, we have borders with neighboring countries, namely Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and Congo. So we reinforce this surveillance at borders. The third strategy is that we isolate all positive cases in health facilities or in the community so that we can stop the spread of the disease in the community.
Doctor, tell us finally what strategies are equally put in place to convince those who are adamant to change, those who don't want to adhere to these barrier measures against the COVID-19. What measures are you using to convince them?
The only strategy we have to convince them is sensitization. We do a community sensitization using community health workers that who go house to house to sensitize people to observe safety barriers. We also do mass sensitization through mass media, through radio. So that is the only means we have to convince people to respect, to adopt safety barriers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maurice Mangaze. We remind our viewers that you are the head of the Brigade for the Control of Health Activities at the South Regional Delegation of Public Health. Tomorrow, we take our viewers over to the far north region of the country. Back to you, Benen Bumagana.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama von Kamer. The people of Mefomo in the Mefo-Anakono division of the Central region have expressed gratitude to God and to President Paul Biya for the appointment of one of theirs as Cameroon's ambassador to France. The Thanksgiving Mass took place today in the presence of top government and senior officials of the presidency as they thanked God for the life of André Magnus Ekomo. Charles Ebune reports.
The Lord's Prayer in the most melodious form rendered in the local language Owundo in Mefomo, Mefo-Anakono Division, Central Region of Cameroon, to honor God's hands in the life of this man, André Magnus Ekomo.
I hope with this celebration they give me more impetus to go ahead.
Today, Cameroon's ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary to France, at least 5 government members, including the Minister of External Relations, Mbela Mbela, and the Minister of State for Higher Education, Jacques Famendongo, plus top officials of the presidency, including the Assistant Secretary General, Elum Poche, watch the thanksgiving ceremony organized here.
I was the collaborator during 25 years of the head of state. I thank you, Kim, very much to appointing me to this important mission.
The clergy handed to the ambassador symbols of light and team building, like candles and palm tree, to enable him bring Cameroonians together in France, where the degree of hatred to homeland has been very high of recent.
The motto remains of the Bar Association President, Barrister Charles Chakute Party, has been received by family and colleagues at the Douala Air Base. The 52-year-old legal guru died on October 4 in France and will be buried in the month of November. Madunkwele tells us more.
All standing, dressed in their robes, lawyers of the Cameroon Bar Association paid their last respect to their president as they received his remains at the Douala Air Base. Charles Chakunte Pati, who ruled the Cameroon Bar for close to 2 years, died in France after a protracted illness. At this ceremony in Douala that brought together his colleagues, past Bar Council presidents and loved ones, the officiating pastor reminded all of how short man's life is here on earth, seizing the opportunity to call on everyone to repent before it's too late. It is the first time that the president of the Bar Association has died in his post of duty, a death which his colleagues say has left a vacuum in the bar. They have described him as a man of valor.
Charles was a model of a lawyer, very dynamic, very humble. In fact, the one who tried to bring all the lawyers together. A very honest, very, very professional, patriotic, dynamic gentleman. We have lost somebody of character.
After the sermon, the funeral procession forged ahead with the 52-year-old to the Douala Military Hospital, where his corpse will be kept till his burial.
Thank you very much for watching this newscast. We've come to the end of this newscast where we're talking about the gruesome murder of several kids in Kumba. The United Nations has released a statement to condemn the killing of school children today in Kumba. We'll be getting more of that in our subsequent newscast. We'll also receive the condemnation and reactions coming in from many persons and many known governmental organizations. Thank you very much for following. Atabadino will be here at 8:30. God bless you.
this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
Il est toujours très difficile de se présenter soi-même, parce que nous sommes des hommes publics donc connus comme tels par les uns et les autres, mais sinon que mon nom, vous l'aviez dit, c'est Njita Kopepele. Je suis donc né aujourd'hui à 55 ans. Je suis donc au trône des Bafoussam depuis 1988, à la suite bien sûr de la disparition de mon feu papa, Sa Majesté Ngompe Tchumtchaili, qui était le 96e, n'est-ce pas, roi de la dynastie des Foussam, ou des Bafoussam. Mon premier discours du trône avait été que je serais ce roi-là qui va allier, n'est-ce pas, nos traditions à la modernité. Nous sommes dans un monde en perpétuelle évolution et comme tel, je pense également que nous devons de voir ce que nous avons de plus fondamental dans nos cultures africaines, Bafoussam en particulier, mais aussi s'ouvrir sur que le monde, parce que comme on l'a dit, le monde est devenu un village planétaire. Ce qui se passe en Australie, au Brésil, aux États-Unis, peut très rapidement impacter ce qui se passe sur quelqu'un ici, hein, dans un village comme Gwen Tokop ou bien Diambo, parce qu'effectivement, les réseaux sociaux, l'Internet est venu, l'ouverture, effectivement, à travers les télévisions sont là. Et parfois,